Okay, I'm gonna go over what I think is happening, which many of you have already figured this out. I have the most severe remote neural monitoring. It's a kill program. And it's a snuff film. I went to what's called First Friday. It's where artists come together and the community goes to interact with us, and we interact with each other. I've forced myself to concentrate and to act as if my mind is not actively read 24 hours a day by animals. I had what felt like maybe 20 people reading my mind. More. This is to murder me. I'm being killed by the white supremacist of Kettering and Dayton and Ohio. There are many of you in Dayton, and I wish that you would contact me. Even if you are a perp, that would be a mistake to interact with me, because I'll record it if I sense you are a perp. But you're not that stupid. And so many of you are so paranoid. You probably won't send me an email and meet with me. That means you're a coward. I have grief over being one of the first to be treated this way and not taking the appropriate action. I made an assumption, which I often do, that was a partial truth. I knew that it was Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. After I listened to the whites speak to my brain, I knew it was Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. I kept asking myself, who would hate me enough to do this? And who would have the money and resources to do it? And this is incredibly advanced technology. This is not some geek tinkering in his house. Although Tesla is technically the geek that tinkered in his house. Okay? But to pay for it, to make it function as a systematic global takedown, I never thought that. I thought it was an attack on me. I should have took action. I didn't even know that they could see through me as I took care of my elderly mother. And they were watching me awkwardly interact with my family and try to assimilate into Dayton, Ohio, one of the more mediocre places of the country. I talked to some artists yesterday, and we went over all the talent and how special Dayton is. This kind of blind pride. How fantastic we all are, and all the famous people who come out of the MK Ultra, that I believe is MK Ultra. That I believe that Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. I'm a little sluggish because I'm hungover. Took in Nazis. and gave them housing in Ohio, around Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. It's interesting that they pick the color white to use as a model for their white power, that in fact they taken the Ku Klux Klan hood and turned it into an armed vehicle. The people of Kettering apparently have a person named Gary. As I lay overwhelmed by black remote neural monitoring that they are using to torture me to death in an attempt to get me to suicide myself. This is not to get me to just relocate. It's to get me to relocate, get viewed somewhere else, and get slowly snuffed out by a group of people that are in Dayton. In fact, a bunch of unemployed losers, employed losers, poor, middle class, and rich people that view me. Of course, the middle class are not going to continuously view me because they have to go to work. They are basically doing live streams of me periodically through the day, and while I sleep, they view me. I get on the conference calls and I hear women say, "My God," other TIs, "I can't believe it." I have made comments on other channels, and a Christian TI, I was brought to tears at the thought that a TA could get gang raped repeatedly by many men and women. I'm actively raped by women every day and every night. And it's more severe in Kettering because Kettering is a racist, pedophile, women-hating community. They have a very large group of white men who like to rape children. You can go online and Google Kettering, Ohio, and look at sex offenders. And it's quite a lengthy list. You can look at the age of the victim that they particularly like in Dayton. And you'll see a pattern. So, anyhow, I'm not a science expert. I'm not a scientific person per se. So you'll have to get answers for things like that from people like Catherine Horton and other people who can explain how it works. These people that are making child pornography virtually are getting off large groups of white men and white women, and now black and white women who like children. If you're suffering from remote neural monitoring, you're being viewed by pedophiles. Unfortunately, many of you know this and can't even bear it. Matt, I sympathize with you. I know exactly what they're doing to you. They probably have a bunch of gay men raping you, as they have gay men raping me. Gay men tend to not have much sympathy for women or children and can be easily coerced into creating virtual pornography for the pedophiles and sex offenders who have been accused or caught and rumored about and are hiding. some of the things that I've seen in the microwave imaging, which is, for me, it goes from flashes into still photos, like a Polaroid. One way that you can see it, and excuse my rambling, one way that you can see this, you can take a piece of mylar that's been a bit crumpled, and look at it, hold it in the window, sleeping with it, whatever you're doing, cut a piece, lay it on a table, put a direct light on it, and you will see over days the faces of perps and victims. These are stills somehow microwaved into the mylar. I've seen hundreds and hundreds, and here we have a vehicular stalker. Okay. That's 3 so far in 11 minutes. That's one way you can see it. It's hard to take a picture of it, but I've tried. It's hard to problem solve this by yourself. I try to do this. So anyway, they won't let me sleep. The conditions of me sleeping is that I get viewed by potentially 50 people. Now they are realizing that I'm not going to do virtual sex. They are still trying to acquire viewers to torture me to death. So now what they do is they have people interact with my memories, view my family. And it's the biggest violation of your privacy that you will ever experience. This is not a one-time rape with Kavanaugh. Okay? This is an ongoing sex trafficking, human trafficking, continuous, a kidnapping, basically, where they're kidnapping the targeted individual and raping them thousands of times in just a couple of years. You were raped, whether you know it or not, whether you want to admit it. You were all being raped sexually thousands of times. So when you look at your stalkers and you wonder, well, how many of them actually know that you're being raped? Many of them do. I'd say most of them know. Okay. Why are we not getting press? We should be front and center for the next election. That our whole group needs to come out en masse, like Black Lives Matter, like Occupy Wall Street. Whatever you need to take, whether it's Valium, alcohol, medication, you need to bring a friend, you need to arm yourself, whatever you need to do to get to a large, massive protest to say, actually, Harvey Weinstein, we are more important than that shit. I'm being gang raped every night, every day. I don't get 1 hour of peace. I get not 1 second to myself. I have ongoing women who are sexually assaulting me 24 hours a day. Gay men, white men, and a massive, massive group of black men from the west side of Dayton are gang raping me repeatedly. They are abusing me to the point that I thought I was going to die pulling the weeds yesterday. I thought I might die pulling weeds. As they watched me, they said, my God, we're killing her. Yes, you are in fact killing me. that I don't imagine that I'm going to be a suicide. No, that I will simply just drop dead from torture. And they'll say, well, she did like to drink, didn't she? Well, in fact, I've gotten x-rays of my body. I'm quite healthy. There's no cancer yet. There are injuries to my body from directed energy weapons, but I'm healthy. I no longer smoke. I don't buy cigarettes. I don't drink every day. I'm an artist. I'm not going to be that stereotype. But Gary's network is what I heard. I simply asked the remote viewers in their frenzy for sex, because what they do is once they get these perps strung out on their own ejaculation and their own orgasm repeatedly, and here comes another stalker. She has a cream-colored car. Gary's network. Well, there's a redneck I hear. There's two white males. One talks to my brain 90% of the day and night. The other one turns the volume down where I can't hear him. These are not rich white men. These are not even middle-class white people. These are losers. Who's handling the gang stalking? And who's your handler? Who's running the gang stalking and catering? I said it over and over and over again. Now, because they can see each other's thoughts and they keep their eyes closed all day, the lazy bums that they are, I heard someone say, oh shit, I see a fat white guy. Well, I had done this about 5-6 years ago, when it was just a bunch of white young males during the day, and then the couples and adults and the women would rape me at night during those moments. I had asked the young males, because I was listening to them over static. I turned on the static to hear them, and I turn on the static to annoy them. Who's doing it? Who's responsible for this? I heard one young male voice say, I don't care what the Masons do. Okay? Then I said, well, where did you meet them? Did they recruit you? How did they recruit you to torture me? And then I saw a white male on a bus with gray hair. But this could be someone's imagination. It could be someone's memory. Which reminds me, when they do falsification of your memory, what they do is they look at your memory, they upload it onto a computer, they upload it into the brains of thousands of people potentially could look at your memory. Okay. Now's the time not to be scared, because it's only going to get worse. Then they input false memory. For instance, children being raped, women being raped, people being murdered, incest, all the illegal sexual activity. It's always something illegal. It's never anything interesting. Like, let's make a memory of Marilyn ripping someone off. It's always about sex, because the people controlling the network of gang stalking are pedophiles. Okay? And they are faggots. They hate women. Men who love women don't do shit like this. And they're married. These pedophiles are married. These dykes, these lesbians, these faggots, these women haters, and these rapists, many of them are married and live in your neighborhood. They get mind hacked. Oh, sir, we've identified you as a fucking pedophile. And they're recruited. And then they take them to go after innocent people and destroy them. That's why so many of you say it's satanic. It's beyond satanic. It's World War III. If you go and you look at World War II when they gather the Europeans, and it's not just the Jewish community that got attacked, they strip everyone naked. You know, when you're being viewed in the shower, changing your clothes, you look down, you're pulling up your underwear, you're cleaning yourself in the shower, they're watching you. Okay. And here's another stalker. They hack, if you're married and you're a TI, if you have a companion, they hack them. So someone's looking through them. And you start to sense that when that person looks at your body, that someone can see it. Well, in fact, it's true. So they'll have two separate hive minds. Isn't that awful? And you wonder why we haven't attacked people. Well, I'm very curious about that. I'm very curious of how they can get thousands of people to go after one person who hasn't committed a crime. How do they get them to do it? Well, how do they get someone to waste their life for 8 years and actively read your brain? They'd have to be mind controlled. In fact, you start to sense that when you don't hear anything, they simply have turned down the volume. Which lately, that's what they've been doing to me to ensure that I go to sleep, then I can get viewed. They go into questions about my childhood. They've seen everything. Everything from me being a small child all up until the age of 48. I'm talking everything. And being so proud to be black and on welfare. The one moment they show that they can get a job, this classification that I call nigger trash, that the one time that they do work hard is to kill another black person. They are actively working very hard, sun up to sundown, to torture me. So why couldn't they have gotten a job and got off government subsidies? Funding to keep their dumb black asses alive while they sat on their asses in the projects. Those project buildings that are in your town, you might want to drive around and look and check them out. You'll notice the white vehicles in the projects. You know, you will notice the people in the red clothes. I've seen so many poor black people dressed like Santa Claus. It's ridiculous. So, it's time to pay the piper, I guess. You've been living off the government for 2 years. You refuse to go to work. Why don't you actively read your neighbor's mind and we'll give you something else, like drugs. So the drug cartels are involved. And we're talking billions of dollars spent on cocaine in the country to terrorize, to keep up losers, to stay up all night and read our minds and torture us to death. I feel so alone. I feel so vulnerable. I feel so helpless, and I feel so depressed, and I'm so angry and tired. I can't believe I'm being abused the way I am. It's never been this bad until I moved to Kettering. That even The way that they hacked my brain was brutal. It hurt like hell. They talked to me like I was a monkey in a cage. I stood there painting. Scan her brain. Got it. Standing at the door. Time for V2K. They give me technological upgrades that are painful. They choose to do this during important days, which is part of the satanic ritual abuse. So it was my mother's birthday, and I sat there on the couch getting ready for her birthday. It was a sunny, beautiful day, like 9/11. And boom, I got hit with something. My brain, it took me everything not to panic. The people of Kettering are quite brutal. Now, ever since Kettering, I've gotten weaker and physically sicker each year. I was supposed to move to California, me and my companion. That's not going to be happening. We want to sell the house and move to California. The most abusive MK Ultra gang stalking state in the country. Imagine being stupid enough to go to California. Well, the ironic thing that other people who live in the area say, it's better to be in large numbers to fight back. That if we're all closer to each other, well, there's millions of TIs in California, and I don't see much happening. As far as like, we're really gonna shut it down. But I don't know. I will have to go online and look and see what are the success stories of capturing gang stalkers. I know there's court cases, there's settlements. No disrespect to California, but you're a vicious state. You're vicious. You're very nasty. In fact, I told a cop, I explained gang stalking because I asked the police to actively patrol the area. They do. They patrol it. They don't have much else to do. I said, we were going to go to California. If I can just get one of these people into the police station, I imagine I can get rid of some of these perps. There's another one. That's a rental. It's not even paid for. Voss was on the plate. That's a car dealership. Oh, I've sent emails to the car dealerships in Ohio about vehicular stalking. And I've sent emails to the trucking industry of Ohio. Be on the lookout for stalkers as you have a very clear view of the highways. You will see an influx of strange vehicular activity. You might want to watch that because your family, there's another one. I really hate loud music from the cars now since I've got black gang stalkers. They like to sing horrible things over the beat, showing their talents as a coon who can sing. I think everybody gets it that we have rhythm. Okay, everyone knows the blacks have lots of rhythm and dance really good and can sing. Okay, unfortunately, the whites have developed the most technologically advanced weapon systems. I think if anybody wants to brag at how cool they fucking are, I think it's white men. So you black bastards who are Uncle Toms driving around blasting music to fuck with your neighbor's head. You don't even know how it works. Isn't that interesting? All these black sellouts, and they don't even know how remote neural monitoring works. They don't even know what's going on. All they know that they can read your mind and masturbate while they do it. Imagine a bunch of black motherfuckers having sex while they recall your memories. That's the game that they do to me. They retrieve the faggot, sits on his ass doing coke. He retrieves the memories with a few other people. And then there are couples that rape my brain while they're having sex. And then the losers who are masturbating, ejaculating on me at summer camp. Actively trying to retrieve my childhood sexual activity. Which is like, are you a pedophile or what? You're actively going into my childhood to watch me so you can masturbate as a white woman? I have a white female I call Becky. She masturbates to my family on Christmas morning in 19 whatever year, that the whites are actively, they've got a bunch of black monkeys jerking off on each other, looking at me. I just woke up from another attack on my aunt and her daughter, repeating her name, and I will not say her name. She's got a beautiful property. Okay? The whole point of buying the house in the country was to get the fuck away from black trash. My God, if she knew what they were doing, she'd probably tell me to kill myself. What they're doing, in particular the blacks, have really gotten the whites really excited about this. We're going to make a movie, they say. I'm going to make a movie, right? And they go to her property through my memories. They start to pull their pants down and masturbate. They try to pretend they're having sex with my aunt. They say things, show me your aunt's titties. Show me your aunt's shape. And I have a bunch of white men and black men and women and teenagers whacking off to my aunt. They've done this millions of times, virtually raped her. This is all uploaded onto a computer. Even if I try to have a nice memory of my family, they have programmed themselves to think that that means they're going to masturbate. So if I say to myself, oh, I remember when my grandmother made apple pie. All right, everybody, we're going to Grandma's house. But of course, Grandma's house is not as nice as her daughter's house. They've raped my cousins, virtually. My childhood friends. Former employers. My companion's older than me, but unfortunately they've raped him in their imagination. They don't like to look at old people. I went to a meeting, it's called Meetup. It's online. Maybe we should try that as TIs, where we, and they'll come, they'll pretend to be TIs, who gives a shit, they're looking through your damn eyes. Well, so I go to this meetup for my friend, because I've isolated us. I've become so paranoid, I barely leave the house. It was a group of older liberals. You know, these are middle class people. Concerned about society. I'm drinking water. I'm so thirsty. I wish I hadn't drank so much. I did get to sleep. You know, I actually did fall asleep. And every night I go to sleep, I know what they're gonna do. It's a heartbreaker. I imagine what you'll do when it's over if it stops one day. I think in 8 years, one day it stopped. There's another stalker with the. They like to talk over the engine, but you never know who's doing it, do you? Oh, that reminds me. Remember when there were lawnmowers? You think that's a stage? And you think everybody's running there's another white stalker that just drove up the cross street, and then another one. Oh my God, they're ridiculous. I think there's like multiple stories that they tell each other. Right. The Faraday cage and all that. Oh my God. I'm so tired. I was willing. I heard an artist say that he takes medication and he'll go to sleep for 3 days. I saw his studio. He had thousands, at least 1,000 pieces of artwork, if not more. I said, I wish that I could go back to my artwork and produce it. The gay male screamed in glee because he knows I'm basically not doing a lot of things I used to do because of him specifically. Everything I do, he steals and acts as if he came up with it. And when Dr. Millicent Black told one of the comrades in her community who get the voice to skull technology, which is synthetic telepathy, she had said, "Oh, don't fight back because that's what the military wants." Well, Kettering's gang raping me, and so I fight back. They do it remotely. So basically what's happening is that I do combative fighting in my imagination to try to get them to stop raping me virtually. They will then steal that idea as a group, use it against me, twerk it, tweak it, and then I suffer even more. So Kettering's killing me. Why don't they just shoot me? Why this long, drawn-out murder of me? This long, relentless, abusive rape of my soul? And all the stupid hand signals did not say anything. Absolutely not, I'm going to tell. Well, why not just get a bullet and have someone shoot me? Why kill me slow? Some creepy white men are turning my life into a long, drawn-out snuff film. And all the scared white women who turn the other way. I'm glad it's not me. Interesting, isn't it? All the women that don't help you. They just hooked up a bunch of people to my head because I saw a white woman walking her dog. What happens also, that pain that you feel in your head, sometimes it's because they're concentrating on you. So say there's 30 people actively attached to you, and they're actively attached to each other. If they're minding their business and doing something else, You don't even feel them. You're aware of them. Once they're told by the faggot in particular, the faggot, he's a cruel motherfucker. And before you start going on about the LGBT community's civil rights, I like to take some time to say, fuck you. I have an ongoing vicious attack by the LGBT community, and I've been stalked by dykes in particular who want to use me for lesbian rape scenes. Okay, these dykes have finally kind of backed off as I refuse to be a gang stalking dyke victim. Give me a fucking break, you fucking dyke bitch. These white Anglo-Saxon Uncle Toms, whores for the deep state, following me around in stores, stalking me around Kettering, that they have women raping women remotely, whacking off and masturbating and fucking each other. It's disgusting. And fuck you, dyke. And these gay men creating these stupid virtual images of having wealth like they're celebrities, keeping all the perps in a perpetual fantasy matrix, making them look more attractive. I woke up and saw them take 50 pounds off of me, change my hair, change my makeup, make me look different, alter my personality, so that the white men would be more attracted to me who are raping me. So when they see me, it's some kind of like goofy porn bait for white dudes who are fucking mentally ill. Dayton, Ohio. Fuck you. As far as I'm concerned, it's a piece of shit. Get your car fixed. Right, remember the lawnmowers? You knew there was a reason why the lawnmower kept fucking going. There's a military plate, that's a stalker. And here's another fucking stalking piece of shit. Ugh, the Jeep. The Jeep used to represent freedom and adventure. Now there's a bunch of gang stalking masturbators. They're just masturbating all day. Fucking losers. So, I think for a couple years here, they just bothered me with lawnmowers. That finally stopped. I went online and I thought I was being paranoid. It's a psyop to use lawnmowers on someone you hate in your neighborhood. You know, I scream bloody murder in this house, and I let the neighbors know I'm being tortured. When they recruit new people to mind hack me, they ask them, why are we doing this? Because I'm tired, and because she's screaming at the neighborhood, we wanted to leave the neighborhood. But didn't she try to leave to go to California? And then they all look stupid. I even took a shitload of clothes to go to Africa and Europe. They hacked me in Morocco and Spain. I didn't enjoy myself, really. I pretended to. I was raped so badly in Morocco and Spain. I came back sick. I sent emails to the King of Morocco, his military, and the Moroccan press. I said the United States is involved in terroristic activities. If their victims travel, the system follows the victim, and this is some data that could explain it. I did get a response from one email that I sent. I have to go look at that email account. I sent to the leadership of Portugal and Europe, Spain, that I had been terrorized and had attempted to escape to Europe, and I wanted to get refugee status. Well, what's the point if they're gonna track you from corny ass Kettering? They wanted to actively sell me in California. Well, just watch her in California. They tried to pressure me to go to the beach and look at the women. Well, I refused. I'm not gonna victimize the women of California so you corny ass crackers can look at what you think is gonna be some Hollywood Barbie doll. These stupid losers. See, when what they can't believe about a targeted individual is your refusal to comply, your refusal to submit. That en masse, they have broken the spirits of millions of people globally. Hundreds of millions of people are willing to work this program on their fellow man. They can't, they refuse to let you go. It's like you have your people. You rape each other. And fuck it, pay each other. If you want to microwave the civilian population and they want to be complicit and comply while they sit in the privacy of their home and let you view you changing your damn kids' diapers, why the fuck would you want to be... You're mind hacked, mother, and you're with your family. You're being complicit with pedophilia. If they're actively reading your mind and using you as a virtual slave, and you have children, you're a pedophile, bitch. Or you're stupid. You're not a coward. If you're a mother or father and you live with your children and you know that they're mind hacking you and they can see through your goddamn eyes, that means they're watching your family. Which means that you are... Bitch, you're not from California. I love it when the Midwest dyes their hair blonde so they can look like Barbie. And I have perps that are obsessed with the word California. Well, California now it means my murder. So, and this is just me talking. I had gone on Craigslist when Craigslist was really no longer really that cool. It was on its last leg. And I had used Craigslist in New York as a tool to get jobs, to find roommates. Millions of people around the country had done this. And Craigslist for a long time was really kind of fun, you know. You could sell things, you could meet friends. I met a friend. I actually went on Craigslist to look for a friend. He went to Harvard. He was a Harvard graduate and an artist. And we became really good friends. And he was in the middle of after a breakup, and he didn't successfully heal from that. So, I was his friend for a while in Boston. I've gotten roommates and, you know, so met people and gotten a job. It's Craigslist. interesting enough, in New York, I would write these clever little bits in New York City to meet friends, and these people would say, "You're so funny and so creative. I've never read anything like that. FYI, I'm a writer. Are you a writer? No, I'm not a writer. Maybe you should think about it." And I thought, wow, really? A writer? I'd never thought of that, you know? So I'd write these small bits, and they were really cute and funny. Little stories of observations about New York City. Feelings that I had. A bunch of people just backed off of my head. Wow. Because they know what I'm about to say. There's the pilot. Listen to that. Is that psychotic or what? Now, when you're a TI, you're the only one that will pick up on that. You know, here comes the stalker. Here's a poor one. Don't you just love the poor stalkers? Oh, that's interesting. She's visiting a neighbor. No. She's a creepy perping bitch. What a loser. She's a long-haired masturbator, probably. I'm so sick of the masturbating bullshit with these perps, and many of you know what I'm talking about. Whacking off to you. So I leave Boston. I lose my job. I was a success at my job. I should have been given a pay raise. I got fired. And I noticed strange things. I started to hear a whispering in my skull. And I'd asked my roommate in Massachusetts, I hear like this whispering sound, like voices. And he said, oh, I do too sometimes. I said, I don't believe I'm schizophrenic. He says, you're not. You probably have anxiety. I went to the psychiatrist and they gave me Valium. I said, anxiety causes voices? I don't think so. Now, I knew it was something in my instincts tell me it's something sinister outside of myself. How am I hearing this whispering? You know, it was really low. It wasn't continuous. I took his Valium. I ended up hating it because it actually will make you more depressed. It did nothing for these voices. And I just noticed that people began to act strange in Massachusetts, which, by the way, is a gang stalking nightmare. If you're in the Midwest and you're seeing red and white cars follow you around, go to Boston, okay? You know, these are grown men, big, intimidating men. You have to literally scream at them to get them to back off, or they will fuck with you. You have to stand up for yourself with stalking. Don't just stand there and say to yourself, I'm being followed by cars, but I'm going to be the bigger person. I'm not going to say anything. Well, fuck you. You're a woman and you're a man. You're elderly. You're being abused by local people in your community in an organized fashion of stalking, harassment. It's a federal crime. Cuss those motherfuckers out and call the cops. Take pictures of their cars and give it to the police and keep doing it. You don't take stalking. Stalking is one of the most terroristic things you can do to a person. It's scary when your ex-boyfriend stalks you. It's scary when you have a stranger stalking you because you're a celebrity. I just got scared. Okay, so that was a stalker. He did a hand signal. Unbelievable. So I noticed basically the program's acting out. It's playing out in Massachusetts, and I come back to Ohio. Man, I got mind fucked here in a way I couldn't believe. They were actively trying to sex traffic me, get me to kill myself, and live on the streets. At the same time, it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. They did the same dream every night. There were 3 dreams they rotated. There's a demon outside. It's Satan. He's after you. He's running loose. 2, you're homeless and barefoot. You're walking the streets and you're all alone. You want to be homeless. 3, you're wandering alone in a car by yourself. Get the hell out of town. Go back to New York. Those were the 3 stupid dreams over and over and over again. And then I would sweat profusely into, there's these middle-aged stalkers getting these little posh cars. Broke bitch. Right, so I thought I was having hot flashes at 30. I said to my mother, because I was living with my mother, okay, I am sweating to death, and I feel incredibly sexual. I don't understand why, and I'm having nightmares about Lucifer. I'd wake up screaming and crying, okay. I was being raped. And then the voices became clear and precise. I said, oh my God. They were observations. What I was doing at the time, they were white adults. They were educated people. These were not the mind-fucking pigs that I have now. This was a superior sicko. And I said, you are the military. I can even tell this is the fucking military. And I ignored it. I looked for cameras in the house. I looked for cameras under the bed, microphones. Are people looking at me through the window? I could not figure out what the fuck was going on. This is a long time ago. I'm 48 years old now. Walking outside, they were talking to me. It was so much abuse. And I didn't really take action. Then systematically, just people refused to give me a job. I had better credentials than a lot of other people. I'd worked in Manhattan and Massachusetts. I had managed companies. You're not going to give me a job? It was strange. Well, they don't want you to get it. They don't want you to have any money. You're a TI. If you have a job, don't lose it. You know, just listen to the voices at work and tell them to, don't even talk to them. Just write down what they say. Don't Don't talk to them unless you're ready to fight, because that's like an invitation. It's like a vampire. Once you talk to them, oh, you're talking to me. They believe it's an invitation for sex or something. Don't talk to the voices unless you want to fight, which means you're going to lose years on your life expectancy. God, they're killing me. So anyway, I go interact what's called the Oregon District. There wasn't a lot of activity in Dayton then because there wasn't any money. Now all of a sudden there's money pouring into Dayton. I wonder why, huh? The military-industrial complex, the military missionaries, like Lockheed Martin, Infraguard, now one big giant global terrorist unit. We're fighting terrorism by going after housewives and their daughters. I was getting unemployment, so I would give a percentage of that money to my mother. I'd go to get groceries, and I'd go out and try to look for work, failed. There was only one street of activity, it was the Oregon District. So I started to push my artwork. I started to sell my artwork, something I hadn't really done in New York. I had to just, it's a lot of competition to be an artist. And you really have to have some kind of life experience to get really good at your talents. You learn the mechanical bits about it, and then you have to, if you're not inspired, So I was finally getting inspired because I was being abused. I go back on Craigslist to look for work. I even kind of think about going back out east. Anybody driving to New York, I think I want to go back. I'll have a better chance of getting work in New York City. I just became depressed. And I sold paintings though. I sold artwork. I made clutch purses with exotic beadwork on it, looming, and sold every single bag. $60, $80. Paintings for $300. My mother was excited. She was bitter about me not having a job and wondered what was going on. And I was excited about interacting with one street. It was the Oregon District. Met someone, began to date him. He was abusive. He was a narcissist. Real boring. He owned property. He was a landlord. He was also an artist and a complete alcoholic. His friends were narcissistic, and they were kind of sexually stalking me. And I just noticed a total breakdown was occurring that had to do with the stalking. I didn't know it. I couldn't tell one event from the next event. Well, why is this happening? Why are people now being vicious? I go on Craigslist. Oh, mother, here comes another stupid stalker. My family, we have a very good sense of humor. I don't see them much anymore. I don't dare go near them since all the perps now masturbate to my family. That'll just get them all worked up, and it will violate their privacy, so I don't bother. But I go on Craigslist and basically go on rants and raves and start to tell stories about my trauma. I even quote politics. I talk about the economy. I basically treat it like a blog. I'm basically being told to start a blog. I'm quoting Jack Kerouac. I'm talking about the computer industry raping and pillaging China with a slave market. I'm talking about the environment. I'm beginning to feel raped. I'm constantly thinking of the word rape because I'm in fact being raped. And the one word that I use is I'm being raped. I'm being raped. I know it's rape. I begin to hear men commenting on my body. I need to work on my body. I don't even know them. Okay, there's a man who goes for a walk every day. I'm gonna turn the camera. So I used to like to go for long walks. I'm kind of jealous because they're injuring my right knee. And my feet, it hurts to walk. So I'm on rants and raves, and I'm talking about personal stuff, family things. I know it's anonymous, so they don't know who I am. Then it becomes a game where I start to expose my targeting. I just thought I'm now getting a panic attack. All right, so whenever I start to get a panic attack, the hive mind comes closer. They see it as an opportunity to take advantage of me. They do not like confidence. So I'm on Craigslist, I'm telling stories, I'm talking about trafficking. I seem to be inspired by this crime committed globally, trafficking in all its ways. The trafficking of cheap labor in China, sex trafficking. I even go into some things that are quite creepy about abusive people. I talk about Africa, being black. I'm acting like the press. I'm complaining. But what I'm really doing is I'm making lots of people laugh. They're reading it, and apparently I get a following. Now, I was not internet savvy. What I didn't know at the time, if say I went into the title and said Chinese slave labor, well, if some person in London or some person in China or someone in California was concerned about slave labor in China, they would see my Craigslist post.
I don't know why I'm so tired. I feel sick. Microwaves. Where's the blue camera?
It's in my purse. He doesn't believe me, and I don't really want to violate his privacy. So, I sit on the lawn and ground. So, I go to Craigslist and do this, these long, I'm doing a monologue with myself, but I'm typing it. I do it every day. So basically I get a following, okay? I don't want to be too boring. So I get a following. So that's how it was happening. If I typed in anything, if someone else searched it in Sweden, I get responses from people in California. they'd say, oh, I read this, and I said, wow, I'm all the way in Dayton. How is this happening? Then the tide, it turns. Okay? This is why I know you should never keep quiet about your targeting. My perps, my V2K perps, my remote neural monitoring perps, these white pigs that had been torturing me, they said, Marilyn, we want you to do a one-woman show. I said, wow. I didn't respond. I didn't answer. I ignored it as usual. I'd go out about in Dayton and I'd have people come up to me and they'd be laughing. You're so funny. I read that. That is so funny. When are you going to do stand-up comedy? And I said, wow. I became so paranoid I could barely function. I got so paranoid I started to drink heavily. People came up to me and said, you know, you're famous, right? I said, that's not true. You're stalking me. You're playing mind games with me. My relatives even started to act strange. Marilyn, people are aware of your life. I don't really know what's going on. I didn't say anything. I didn't respond. I didn't know what to do. It was like a deer caught in headlights. I wanted to be an artist. I wanted a job, basically. Then things would happen where people in town would say, they're telling us not to buy your artwork. They want you to do comedy. And I said, I'm going to do comedy. Okay. So I'm writing these long monologues. In fact, they're screenplays. The bits that I can remember, where I have characters, and then I have a storyline. It would be any topic. It could be political. It could be comedic. I think I made some people cry. Okay. The key to it is that whenever I typed in a search word, whenever you type in something, you get millions of other people's blogs that have the same subject. I had a class of people that were far superior to my handlers and my stalkers in Dayton, trying to tell me, you're very talented, why don't you go to California? And maybe you could do comedy, you could write comedy. And I began to see an opportunity to rescue myself out of poverty and to rescue my mother. And then I began to imagine California and what that would mean. I called friends and said, did you ever think that once that I was funny? And they said, yeah. What do you think if I try to be a comedian? They said, one friend said, don't do it. We have enough coons. Just try harder with your artwork or go back to college. I asked my mother, what do you think? I'm getting these voices are saying, go to California. And, now mosquitoes are biting me. Go to California, right? So, I start to think about, well, I've always liked comedy. And maybe I'll write it so I don't have to stand there. Then I thought about writing it. What do I need to do that? I learned that even Saturday Night Live, they go into the community of the college-educated elite. They recruit from the highly educated, like Ivy League school graduates will work for Saturday Night Live to be a writer. I said, well, who could I write for? And how do I write? So then I went online and studied how to write. And then I would practice. Then I'd get V2K that would say, don't give it away, they're stealing it. Well, who's stealing it? They're stealing it in California. I said, that's strange. How could they do that? Are they looking at the computer? So I became paranoid. This is before Snowden. I became paranoid about the internet. I put tape over the camera because I realized it was looking back at me. And I would look on the camera and it would say it was off. But there was always someone looking at me as I typed. Commenting on my grammar, on my spelling. You need to work on your spelling, and that's really funny, by the way. And yes, that's true. And I would ignore the V2K. Actively, the gang stalking turned into, we have to get you in shape to go to California. So my body was ridiculed horrendously. He picked up his dad. That's so sweet. That old man, he's always working on his property, pulling weeds. I miss my mom. She's just right across the river. I don't see her as much as I used to because these perverts look through my eyes. And they try to get memories to masturbate to so they can embarrass me. So I refuse, but I've always been a pretty healthy person, very physically fit. I used to ride my bike to work in New York. I used to walk to work. Sometimes it was because I didn't have train fare for whatever reason. But I would jog. I'd run across the Brooklyn Bridge. I rode my bike. I was very fit, very active. I'm a very good runner. So I'm turning on the TV, and this is when this bullshit starts. The TV starts to talk to me. And we know it's not the TV actually talking to you. They're trying to trick you into thinking that the TV's talking to you. They're pressuring me. They're using the television. Go to California. The gang stalking changes that now we can't really fuck with you like we wanted to because now everybody knows who you are. Right? This is why you shouldn't let yourself get isolated. That's why so many TIs just go and show their face. They're trying to save their life. Stalker in the white car. I become excited, not about celebrities, but the thought of getting enough money to escape Ohio and protect my mother. That was the top reason why I thought I should do it. But of course I didn't, because I was, I guess, like a coward. I was scared. I was insecure about the way I looked. I'd finally done what they said. I got down to a size 8. At 6 foot. And that's pretty fucking thin. They were pressuring me, which just goes back to my aunt. She used to be a model. and her daughter is very thin. They said, we want you to get as thin as those two. Okay, and then we want you to come to California. And I imagined going to California. Would I drive there? Would I fly there? How was I going? I got to write a story. What am I going to write about? And I was practicing. This is why I'm being gang stalked. And now I'm getting fucked with because now the gay guy's getting jealous. Okay, because he's been manipulated and now he believes he's a superstar too. And he's a pedophile with HIV. And now they're trying to make me sick. Gay men are mean. They hate us. Don't even go into that. Wow. My God. So, the community of Dayton, not all people were involved in getting me out to California, where they were getting targeted and being told to pressure me to go to California, because now the handlers realized that I could make money, but also that they could probably, they'd view me doing something else, which I didn't understand that. I thought that they would just go away. I asked my mom, what do you think about living in California? And I thought, we can live in the desert. I thought about going to the desert to live, where it's peaceful. Then going into LA, selling a product, and going home. Once I get a few $1 million, then I'd abandon it and then get a really cool place somewhere in the country. And me and my mother, I could live there, and I'd get a dog, and I'd paint pictures. I could finally be a really talented artist. This is not anything interesting. This is average shit. What are your dreams? Just be able to support myself and help my mother. The gang stalking got worse as my conflict in my relationship became twisted. One example, I had a First Friday event, and the two of us sold our art together. I made hundreds and hundreds of dollars, okay? He didn't sell one thing. The owner of the space, he didn't sell anything. The owner's son. I couldn't believe it. I was taking artwork off the wall and giving it to people. Some of these paintings I'd done in New York, I couldn't believe it was happening. I had painted some of these things in Massachusetts. I was so happy. I had always had like a global fantasy about the world. I wanted to interact with it. I'd painted images of women and men from National Geographic. My aunt came to the event. I had gotten a lot of antagonistic ideas about my mother because my mother was overweight. And they were trying to break me and my mother up. And in fact, because we were both kind of chunky, and they had developed some sexual obsession with my aunt. It was crazy, okay? These perverts started stalking my aunt. Okay, because she's real beautiful. You know, she's a yoga master. And she was my closest ally in the family. And they had to break us up so they could detach me from her. And then MK Ultra, an adult, to go to California and get ripped open in California, mind hacked, ripped off artistically, and basically become a slave for a systematic program that's called Hollywood. Nobody would believe this now if they looked at my old crippled ass. I didn't do what they told me to do. And my targeting got worse and worse and worse and worse, to the point where I contemplated suicide. I drank so bad. They got so abusive and bullying me into anorexia. Not interfering with what I would write about, but just saying, hurry up, write it already. I'm sure it'll be fine, and just go to California. That's the remote neural monitoring. You know, I'd go somewhere and somebody would say, oh, you finally lost the weight. That's good. When are you going to California? No, you want to do your stand-up? You're really funny. They want you to do stand-up. Well, I'd never said I wanted to do stand-up. And because I don't obey authority, I became resentful of being told every day to go do stand-up. All these men coming around me and these women smiling at me and giggling and shit. And, yeah, I went on Craigslist and told jokes and wrote stories and told... My family became agitated because they didn't know what was going on. Why are all these people coming up to me and asking me about you? I was writing dirty jokes, a lot of dirty commentary. It was anarchist ideologies, poetry, you name it. Love stories, depression, stories about, Alcoholics Anonymous. Tragedy, which that industry feeds off of. They feed off the consumption of a person that they find attractive or not attractive, and then destroys them. I'm being gang stalked. I began to sympathize with celebrities. I said, my God, I feel sorry for you. Even though you live in a mansion, that a lot of attention, whether it's positive or negative, it's quite stressful. And if you're poor, and I was unemployed, it was just a mess. So I'm selling my artwork, and that's great, and I'm finally in a gallery. And they're still telling me to go to California. And then what happens? A man walks up to me and says, hi, I'm from California. Immediately, I said, they sent you. So I had to contemplate if he was sent. What I believe is that he's been mind hacked, and they may have kind of said, yeah, why not? They could be together. And I moved in with my friend from California, and this is his house. And we fell in love, and we were gonna move to California together, and I said, someone's dream has finally come true. I never said my dream. Someone's dream is finally coming true. I'm going to California. I tell him I want to be a comedian. He gets sick of hearing it. He says, just go and try. I said, okay. I never actually do it. There's eye candy for perps. I'm not going to put her on film. So, I have a nervous breakdown here It was a safe space. That was a perp strut. It was really creepy. It was a female. Trying to be a visual aid, or prompted to, or mind controlled to be a visual aid for my perps, which is not what I want. I do not want my handlers sexually stimulated. They masturbate enough as it is. So I'm not going to be going to California to live. Then I try to think, well, where else can I do comedy? I think India, Africa, Asia. I started to look at Asia. Who could I write for? And I'm writing stuff down. I stopped using the laptop because I'm paranoid. Snowden comes out and talks about the laptops have cameras in them. Your cell phones are recording you even when the recorder's off. The NSA is tracking you. And in fact, yes, it was true. It's Kettering. Once people in what's classified as Dayton find out that I'm going to live in Kettering, strangers say don't do it. They're evil, they're racist, and don't stay. It's like, well, me and my friend will be going to California. And they said, don't even live there. It's horrible. Oakwood, Kettering is horrible. Don't live there. Do your comedy in Dayton and just, don't you want to still do that? Well, I never said I wanted to do that. And why are you perping me to be a comedian? So there was like multiple awareness groups aware of me because of the gang stalking, and then aware of me because of Craigslist. I meet someone who puts me on YouTube. I didn't know he was recording me. I'm sitting on a couch. Drunk, saying all kinds of funny shit. And he records it and puts it on YouTube. It was so funny that then finally people could see what I look like. And then that made it worse. So it went viral. I've never seen it. I don't want to see it.